Assalamu alaikum, bonjour online viewers. Until we've come, tell them Monday program. We are back again today. Our guest was, well, it still is Honorable Musa Amul Nyassi of APRC. I think he's the MP for Foni, Kansala. Unfortunately, as is always the case with internet connectivity in the Gambia, he's struggling, but he will join us. So we're having a roundtable discussion today. Myself, I'm here. Dr. Conteh, Mr. Nyassi, Famara Drammeh, and then maybe Banka probably will join us later, and even Mr. Ahmed Manjang. So we'll see how it goes. So it's the usual issues in Kombo or in the Gambia, the social, political issues, challenges. That's what we're going to discuss today. The idea actually was to speak to Mr. Nyassi to see what plans his party has for the Gambia. I mean, when it comes to the West Coast region, he's a West Coast region native like all of us. So we could have a family discussion about some of our challenges, how we can fix them. But as we said, he's struggling right now to connect. But we are hoping that he will get a much more steady connection very soon. So I would like to welcome everybody again, Mr. Nyassi, Mr. Famara Drammeh, Dr. Conteh, and our guest, Honorable Musa Amul Nyassi, who is still struggling, but he's persevering, but he's still struggling to join the conversation. Guys, welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, my friend.
Okay. Yes, Aliu, it's been a while. You've not been here, so I'm sorry you follow the discourse on everywhere. I mean, whether you join these forums or not, the challenges are the same. So I think we are all well versed. So I mean, the floor is yours. Let's go ahead.
Last week actually was on the forum where you talked to Dr. Damfa about the importance of data collection and how you can utilize the data to develop your strategies. And I think that with the conversation that we were going to have with Honorable Amul Nyassi, it would have been very important to talk about how the data that we collect can be utilized in addressing the land issues that we have in the Gambia today. I think it is very, very important, and it is high time that the government, through National Assembly, implement a strategy that would address land issues in the Gambia, because if you think about Kombo South, Berending, near Gunjur, we already lost 2 lives. And this is going to continue as we go. So it's important for us to have a conversation about these land issues and what is the most sensible method in addressing these problems, where we don't lose lives and we also live together as a community. Because no matter what, we are one family, we come together. But because of the fact that we have actually, as a country and as a nation, we have utilized this platform called land, and these how do you call them, real estate dealers have actually pinned families against each other. And now, because of how much money people realize, everybody wants a piece of it. And I think the big problem is that those that are even selling the land actually don't have it to actually, let's say, invest so that their kids can benefit from that sale of land. So I think it's a very important conversation that we need to have. And I think Musa just logged on, if I am correct.
Yes, I hear. Yeah, I can hear you. I have just logged in back.
Are you connected back now? Yeah.
Yes, I'm connected back, and I think I have a better network now.
Oh, you got. Oh, brilliant. Okay, good.
Yes.
Basically, we just did an introduction. So if you, I did mention to people that to the viewers that you are our guest today, and obviously I get a slide out. What's it called? Who you are, the party, and then your MP, member of Parliament or National Assembly, like they say in the Gambia. So if you would like to introduce yourself briefly, that's fine.
All right. Thank you very much for being your guest. I am Musa Amul Nyassi, National Assembly member, representing the people of Foni Kansala in the Parliament. I also double as the mouthpiece of the Alliance for Patriotic Reorientation and Construction, APRC.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Maybe I can also go further to say in the Select Committee of the Regional Government Lands Ombudsman and the IEC, I'm the chairperson. I'm also a member of few other select committees, that is the Agriculture Select Committee, Health Select Committee as well.
Yes. Yeah, thank you so much. I don't want to embarrass you, but I thought it's important. Because I spoke to you privately a few months back. I did mention to you the plight of the Kombo issues, and you did promise me that as the chairman of the select committee on lands, you will call the permanent secretary to have a meeting, which materialized 3 weeks ago. I saw that in the papers, and I was like, not that I had any doubt in you anyway, but it was still nice to see it. And then I think I would like to, on behalf of everybody in the Gambia, not only Kombo and West Coast region, to say that's the kind of politicians we need. The political party, the political doctrines, and the political philosophies really don't matter that much to us. We want politics that's going to work for us in the Gambia, really. So we have to have what's it called, multi-party. If you want to call them then coalitions, if you want to call it that, we want to have like cross-party platforms, cross-party alliances, cross-party agreements, whatever you want to call it. But whatever we do in that Gambia, in our country, so that it works. So I think that was a very, very good example of that. So whereby you spoke to concerned Gambians, and then you took their concern on board, and you took the power vested in you as a National Assembly member and as the chairman of a select committee. You called a meeting, and then I think that's very, very impressive. And I just would like to say we are very grateful to you. We thank you. And even though you don't think you don't think anybody needs to thank you for it because you think it's your job, but we still would like to say thank you because that's the kind of politics we need in the Gambia. That's the kind of politicians we need in the Gambia. So I think that's very, very good. Thank you. On behalf of my colleagues here, on behalf of the West Coast region, on behalf of Kombo Wakafo and the whole of the Gambia, once again, we are very grateful. Thank you.
Well, like you rightly mentioned in your introductory remarks, I think when we do things that are expected of us, all we need to hear from people is to encourage us to say that yes, you are on course. And if we do it on the contrary, people are open to criticize constructively and give us solutions. So it's an obligation on us, like you rightly mentioned. If you feel like saying thank you for doing it, well, that's your opinion, but I believe that we are there to serve the interests of the people. And as a result, I see no reason why people should applaud us. But again, it's a means of encouraging us to continue doing what is good.
Okay, thank you so much. Dr. Conteh or Famara, anybody would like to chip in? This is like, it's a roundtable discussion. So I'm going to call say,
So, Father, this is your brother, Ali.
Oh, how are you?
I'm good, man.
Been a while.
Yeah, I know.
Good.
So my question to you is based on we know that, and through your leadership in the National Assembly and you having a meeting with the PAMSEC, we know that land has become a major issue in the Gambia, especially the Kombos. And so what is the National Assembly doing with the government to ensure that we have a land policy that is best serving for the Gambian population?
Thank you very much for that question. I think it's timely. The moderator of the roundtable discussion rightly mentioned, one of the reasons why we engaged the Land Commission together with the ministry was to actually interrogate the issues of land, problems for that matter, that are occurring day in, day out. So as a select committee under whose purview the ministry and the commission falls, we said it's important that we bring the two together and discuss with them to know whether they are actually aware of the challenges of land in the country. If they are aware, what are they doing? If they are not aware, then we can share with them some information that we are privy to. And during the discussion, we have highlighted the issue of the State Lands Act, which needs to be collectively agreed that yes, we need to review the act and see how we can fine-tune the act so that that way it is able to minimize the problems of land that are emanating. Because I keep saying this, that I, as an individual, I am afraid of conflict that emanates from land, because the signs have shown up in the Gambia, and we have seen in other countries where it have led to a lot of casualties. So it's good as a country to learn from the mistakes of other countries and see how we are able to correct ourselves. Let me put it to you that the Select Committee is very much interested in engaging the ministry to see how they are able to come up with a policy that one will see as a policy that is out to address the conflict of land once and for all. But again, we are also empowered by the laws of the land to come up with a private members bill. And we as a select committee would not hesitate in the event the ministry we as a select committee, oh, come on, this call have just interrupted. Hello, am I being heard?
Yeah, you can still hear you, yes. Yeah.
He may have to sign out and come back in.
It seems, I think somebody called him whilst he is on, so he just interrupted his call. Yes, anybody wants to chip in? I'm sure you can continue from where you stopped. Really, not that we're speaking on his behalf, but
if we can get to him to tell him he has to sign out and come back in. I had the same issue.
He's come back in. Hello, Mr.
Honorable,
can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you. There was an incoming call. I'm sorry, it interrupted.
Yes, it only happens. Yes, okay.
Yeah.
Yes, go ahead, please.
Just to summarize his answer, his question rather, I want to put it to you that we are very much interested in trying to see collectively with the government how we can come up with a policy that will address the issue of land once and for all. So we're giving them the opportunity as the ministry or as the government to come up with a bill that will try to adjust the gaps that the current State Lands Act have, or else as a select committee, we will take the lead role in ensuring that we come up with a private members bill.
Thank you. Bye.
Okay. Yeah, thank you so much. Famara, what's it called? Oh, Ali, your brother. Yeah, did you answer? Did you hear your brother's answers, Ali?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
So I think it's important for us to follow through with what you guys have. Your strategy is, let's say, with the Land Commission, because losing 2 lives in Gunjur or in Berending is 2 lives too much.
Mm-hmm.
And it's important that because at this point in time, we don't know what the government is doing to follow through to address that problem. And unless that single problem in Berending is neutralized, I don't think there is a way for us to solve other problems that are going to come up in the country. So has Parliament looked through that issue in Berending?
Actually, issues like what is happening in Berending as a select committee, we are not empowered by law to mediate on land issues. The powers given to us by the Constitution is to call the Commission and the Ministry and take them to task. But again, we have also looked at the provision of the Constitution that provides for the establishment of a land commission. But the Constitution only provided the provision for the establishment of a land commission, but did not go to define the functions and responsibilities of the land commission rather. So this is left to be provided for by an act of parliament. This is why, if you remember, during the last meeting that we had with the ministry, we thought it prudent that it's important for a bill to come that will define the roles and responsibilities of the land commission. So the land commission is kind of not having those excess powers to be able to address issues of land conflict. Yes, it's created, but after the creation of the land commission, what next? This is where the gap is. So the branding issue as we speak is something that we are all interested in trying to see a way out of solving the problems once and for all. Because one life in the Gambia is one life lost in the Gambia is important to every Gambian. Our wish is to ensure that no life is lost in that manner.
So what I know that even though the Land Commission does not define what the roles are going to be, and it has to be passed through a National Assembly Act. So in the absence of that, I think that at this point in time, we are not going to buy time to solve these issues. What empowers Parliament to act if the government is not acting? Because I think you guys probably are waiting for the ministry to come. And if the ministry is not coming, can members of Parliament pass an act and designate the government to actually act on those things?
That's absolutely possible. By, like I said earlier on, the only way we can make it happen is by coming up with a private members bill. And in our midst, there is nobody with law background. We only have the vice chairperson of the committee is a lawyer, for that matter, Honorable Yakumba Jaite, but I'm not sure if she's a draftsman. So being the case, if we want to come up with a policy to regulate the issue of land in the country, we must have to rely on the services of a lawyer. And in the country I don't think we will have any lawyer who will be willing to give us his services free of charge. But again, I know if we are that much interested in pursuing the issue of a private member's bill, there are so many avenues where we'll be able to tap funds to pay the services of a lawyer. But be rest assured that we are very much concerned with the problem of land in the country. And we want to ensure that land problem in the Gambia would be a thing of the past.
Honorable Mr. Nyassi,
Yes, sir.
is still available?
I'm still available, yes.
Okay, this is Dr. Conteh. We've lost 3 lives in Parababanta, where I come from, and I want to thank you for coming, and you bring back memories, the 2 Nyassi, single Nyassi. Of course, he went to Parababanta Primary School. So what I still don't understand, you have so many talented individuals in Parliament. You don't have to be a lawyer to draft something that someone can take a look at. I think we need to get away from this mindset that you have to be a lawyer to do something in Parliament. Because I've watched your speech in Parliament, and I think you are a very talented individual. So we hope that you all can come up with something. And then the government also should have some form of funding, to help draft legislation that can move the country forward. But having said that, even before you came here, we've been saying that when we talk about Kombo, we cannot separate Foni from Kombo. We've said that any land issue that we have in Kombo ultimately affects Ponyenkas, because you have family members who live in Kombo. And as a result, even in fact, I was just talking to someone telling the individual to check their land in Bullock. I said, because if we can have land issue in Kombo East, ultimately you will have land issue in Fonyi. I am of the view, that when we come here to talk, we want to find people with reasonableness to tell us what they stand for. And let's forget about what had happened years ago on the Jammeh. We are looking forward to a new energized APRC. And I've always said that, it's a political party with a difference. Because I come from a constituency that I know, that Jammeh won. And I've even made prediction that the next election, APRC will prevail in Kombo East. Well, that's my own objective decision. But what I'm trying to say to you is that we hope, you also can engage your members like Sunkari Bajo, Honorable Sunkari Bajo, who I met, also the two cameras, Kadi, Kamara, and the other Kamara guy, and then the Jammeh guy that I actually recognize. I said, I've seen this guy years ago when I was in the Gambia. So what I'm saying here is that, Honorable Nyassi, when we are talking about Kombo, you are fighting your own war, because ultimately it's going to affect you. Because there's a gentleman here, Nyassi, from where? From Kenya, and I guess you are related to him. So we are saying that, please, don't fail us. Because what we have seen among Gambian politicians, when you call them one time, they answer the telephone. But when you call them back again, they never answer. But we are really in their need, because can you believe, I just listened to a gentleman who talked about this kind of discrimination, and he was talking about institutional discrimination. And he talked about the fact, that in Berending, 2 lives were lost. In Faraba, 3 lives were lost. And all these areas were in the vicinity of Kombo. So I just want you all to help, because our people are poor. But what I don't understand, Honorable, is the government to use this law. This law has to be repealed under Sadauda's leadership, not on Jammeh. Sadauda's Minister of Lands said that all lands in Kombo belong to what? The government. Honorable Lamine Conteh said not in Kombo East. But again, Honorable, I want you to help us. I am from Kombo East, and I'm really upset for the simple fact that the University of the Gambia, which we welcome, is in our area, but they have now taken 800 meters of land belonging to our farmers without compensation, and not even allowing them to come and even farm on the land. We are all limited by resources in the Gambia. So if the university is coming there, the poor farmers whose lands you are taking, you're not doing anything there. So all you can do for our poor farmers is to enable them to come and farm until you decide to do what? I teach at the university, and what the University of the Gambia is claiming without any compensation is unbelievable. So we need your help. So whatever you can, and I've seen you to be a person who you have this moderate view to reach out to other people, because Gambian politics, let's not base it on tribe. Let's not base it on political ideology. When it comes to the interests of the Gambia, I think we also come together. Even during, I would say it here, even during Yahya Jammeh's tenure, I have been accused of being an APRC sympathizer, even though I disagree with Jammeh's policy. But anytime they mention tribe, I always will stand up and say, no, that ain't gonna happen. So what we are saying here, we Kombo, all of us here are from Kombo. And so who else are we going to turn to? So I'm really excited to have a person of your caliber, and I hope you can also encourage the other 4 members of the APRC legislators in Parliament to help us to find a way to the solution of Kombo. And if you can do that, because our own members, when we call them, we can get them. And I know tomorrow if we call you, you'll answer. But our own people, you call them, we can get them. So we need all the help we can. So I really want to thank you. I think sometimes history repeats itself, and that's why I tell people that when you talk about Kombo, you cannot leave Foni. You can't. We are all intertwined, either by marriage, location-wise, and so forth. So I'm really excited that you are here, and I hope you can continue to help us and engage other members of Parliament to come out. We don't care whether you belong to any political party, but when it comes to the issue of Kombo, which ultimately will affect Foni, I think we need help from everyone, including the 5 members, National Assembly members from Foni. I want to thank you for coming, and I'm going to stop right there.
All right. Famara, just before you come in quickly.
Thank you very.
Yeah, go on, Miss Honorable, go ahead.
All right. Thank you very much, my brother. I heard you very well, and I definitely want to sympathize with you because you made mention that you hail from Faraba, and we all remember that Faraba 3 lives were lost. But let me just make one thing very clear. I am different from those National Assembly members that you will call once, get them the second time you want to get them, they run away. I don't do that because I believe I'm occupying a public office, and I am open to public scrutiny. I should be transparent. I should be accountable to the people I'm representing. When in that National Assembly building at the chamber, I represent the interests of the Gambian populace. Yes, I'm elected to a party ticket, but I am there to represent national interests. That is why my philosophy is whenever you call me, you will have something to give me or you will have something to tell me. So it's up to me to accept what you are going to offer me or to reject it, to accept your ideas or to say, no, I have heard you, but after analyzing what you said, I believe I am on course and I definitely cannot take on board your advice or your opinion. So as a public servant, we should be open to the public and we should be listening to the public. It's very, very important and it adds weight to what we are doing. Let me tell you that Honorable Sunkari Baji is part and parcel of the select committee of which I am heading. The other members are not part of it. Land issue, like you rightly mentioned, 10, 15 years back, nobody would have thought what is happening in Kombo East would have happened today. Because then the value of land in Kombo East cannot be compared to the value of land today. So, as you rightly mentioned, Foni and Kombo East are intertwined. So, what is happening in Kombo East today, you can focus that in the next 5 years, not even in the far distance, in the next 5 years, can equally happen to Foni because people have started coming out to Foni. Can you imagine? I have seen portions of land in Foni being bought by people from KMC, people from Banjul, because they know the value of land 5 years to come in Foni. And they are doing it in their numbers. Thank God we have our administrators who are seasoned. They are trying to come up with regulations that nobody sells land, but if you want land, it can be leased for a number of years. And if the lease elapses, you can go into agreement to extend the lease. Because for fear of people buying land now at a cheaper rate, and in the next 5, 10 years to come, land in Foni will be, around $1 million or close to $1 million. And then you start, chopping that land, selling in bits and pieces. But let me assure you that as a select committee, I'm not going to talk about myself, but I'm going to talk about the select committee in total. We are all interested in what is going to lay to rest the problem of land in the Gambia. We are working as a body. We are consulting as a body, and we are all keen in what is affecting the lives of our people. That assurance I can give you, because our wish is, even if we are not going to come for a second term, but it's 5 years that we are going to serve. When we leave, everybody will see the positive legacy that we have left behind. That is why we are not going to be selfish, we are not going to be self-centered, but we will always look towards what is going to be of benefit to the people we represent. So whether you are an MP from Foni or you are an MP from Badibu, I mean, what is important is let's try to see what legislation we can come up with that will address the issue of land. So that is our position.
Yeah, thank you so much, Honorable. Famara, maybe you could, Famara would like to jump in now, please.
Yeah, thank you so much, Honorable Nyassi. We're good to have you here today.
To hear him. I'm struggling to
my
hear
name
him.
is Fam. Okay. Can you hear me better now? Okay, good. I said thank you so much for joining us today. It's good to have you. You are somebody who has a very wealth of experience in the government, and now you are in the National Assembly. My name is Famara Drammeh. I'm just going to shift a little bit on land and environmental issues. First of all, as a former Minister of Lands, I was just wondering what was your did you see any coordination between the Environment Ministry and the Ministry of Lands, and then also the tourism? And I'm looking into this in this perspective because everybody who buy land in the Gambia, they one way go through the Ministry of Local Government to acquire documentation. And sometimes the lands that people bought or buy are usually in areas that are very highly ecological sensitive areas. And then the Ministry of Land is not working very closely with the Ministry of Environment to ensure that the piece of land that is bought, also the natural resources that are found in that piece of land, whether this is forest or whether other mineral resources, just to make sure that there is that coordination between government ministries, in terms of working out a way out that is good for our environment. Because like we're seeing now, a lot of real estate companies are coming in Kombo and many parts of the Gambia. And then they will buy a piece of land either from local communities or they will acquire it through government. But at the end of the day, those areas are actually highly ecological sensitive areas. Those vegetations will be cleared or bulldozed without following the due process of the environmental procedures, like an environmental impact assessment. Because if you look at the Forest Act, for example, any naturally grown trees belongs to the state. So if somebody buy a piece of land, either by 100 by 100 or 50 by 50, but that area happens to have a large colonies of maybe Borassus ethiopium, which is this palm trees, for example, which is a very endangered species in Kombo right now. So how do we allow people to bulldoze those areas? I know, of course, they own the land because they bought it. They got a documentation from the government. But the natural resource found within the area, and which, according to the Forest Act, before you cut any naturally grown trees, you have to follow the procedure. And we don't see that it's happening. So I just want to know how your ministry, as a former minister of local government, how you used to work with the Ministry of Environment, to ensure that, yes, land process also comprise, environmental issues into consideration. So the other aspect is
hello?
Hello, yeah?
Yes.
Can you allow me address that one first?
Okay.
And then you can come to the next question.
All right.
All right. Thank you very much. You're talking about an institution which is the ministry. So regardless of who was there when it was happening, the bottom line is once I've served there, I should take responsibility, because if it is something good, I will want to take the credit. So if it is something that has actually affected the local people and it has affected our resources, I will equally take responsibility. But I will put it to you that when I assumed responsibility in that ministry, there was this association of truck drivers who are bent on collecting sand. There was a portion of Salaji Forest where they wanted for us to allocate to them for these trucks to be parking, so that the traffic congestion within the KMC and the danger, their cost to traffic would be minimized. So they wrote to our ministry requesting for a portion of that forest to be allocated to them. What I did was I immediately contacted the then Minister of Environment, Pa Osman Jaju, and forwarded a copy of that request letter to him. When he looked at it, his advice was the place was not ideal, and then he gave his reasons. That was why during our tenure in office, the place was not allocated to the truck drivers. But now, if you look at it, you will see when the administration changed, those truck drivers again requested for that portion of land, and it's been given to them. Going further, I want to say some parts of the tourism development area were allocated at a time when I was not at the ministry. And in fact, the lease process started. They went very far in the lease process. But unfortunately, there was nothing I could do to stop it, because already they have incurred a lot of costs. Coming to the estate developers, I want to put this, let me make this clarification that the Ministry of Lands is very, very vulnerable in terms of regulating the operations of the estate developers. Because if you look at the security firms in the country, before they are registered, the Ministry of Interior, before they are registered with the AG chambers, the Ministry of Interior is empowered to do a background check. But in terms of the estate developers, all you need is the requirement. If you meet the requirements, you go to the AG chambers, you are registered rather, without the ministry having the authority to do a background check on you. So you can now see the difference. This is why we have a lot of briefcase estate developers in the country. But I want to inform you that this is another area in which I tried, I could not make it. And now, fortunately, with this new administration, they have gone to the extent of drafting a bill that will regularize the operations of the estate developers. The first stakeholder consultation happened last week, Saturday. And this past Saturday, our committee was invited, but unfortunately, then we were on a tour and we could not take part in the stakeholders consultation to have the input of stakeholders before the bill is finally brought to the parliament. It's meant to regularize the operations of the estate developers. I don't know if I have actually addressed your concerns as per the first question.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much for that. And then the second part I wanted to ask was, I'm from Brufut, and then just like you guys are trying to do in Foni, just to make sure people that sell land, and just to make sure they are all leased, for a certain period of time. When the lease expires, you can extend them. And then now, just questioning, since you're also a mouthpiece of the APRC, which is a party that has been in the former administration, headed by Drammeh. And then my community is one of those communities in Kombo that is hugely affected about, on this land allocation in the tourism development area. Because one point, we had a lease agreement, because we all know these tourism development areas are leased, but the local communities lease it to the government for a period of 99 years, which expired, and then they try to renew it again. And then we've seen that, how land is being allocated within this tourism development area by our own government institutions, especially the Ministry of Local Government and Lands. They are issuing lands to private individuals within a tourism development area, which we all know it is very much in contrary to what the Tourism Act is saying and what the Local Government Act is saying. And it's a breach of contract between the local community and the government of the Gambia. And a good example is Burfoot Heights, where a chunk of land has been allocated and given to, private citizens, when the community of the Burfoot is struggling to even have a space for a market. We don't even have any recreational facilities in Burfoot, despite all the abundance of land that we had. You look at the AU Villas, you look at Saraton Hotel, you look at, tough housing estates. These are all located within a prime area that belongs to the community. And when the government wants to come up, with this tourism development area, they engage the local communities of Brufut and say, this is the land we want to spare for a period of time for 99 years. Then we can, build hotel facilities, we can do tourism development area so that the whole economy or the whole country can benefit. But we have seen systematically, these lands have been allocated, to various investors, whether they are nationals or foreign investors, and then the community is denied of the resources that belongs to them. And at this point, we are struggling. So now, if the government come up with this legislation to have a tourism development area, and then we're seeing the land going in a way around, what is the role of the Minister of Local Government to stop institutions or even individuals to say, well, this is not the agreement with us, with the government of the Gambia and the local communities, so therefore we cannot go this route. We have to, consult the communities, for example, or say, this is not what the tourism development land said. Because I used to work for the government of the Gambia. I worked for the government of the Gambia for 20 years. I used to sit in the Tourism and Lands Committee of the Gambia Tourism Board. And I know very well that those areas are within the tourism development area. And some of the areas that belongs to the communities are not. And yet we're still having government coming in and out, trying to play, on the games on the minds of the local communities, that trying to impose this state act, which we all know is a totally unacceptable, because one section of the country cannot be a state land while the others are not. So I don't know, in this case, I'm looking at the dimension of the APRC, which Jammeh owns a lot of land in Brufut, which is even more than what the community own right now.
Come on, your line is breaking. Your line is breaking.
Okay, the line is breaking. Okay. Can you hear me now?
Can you take that statement again?
Is it the last part of it?
Yes.
Okay, I was saying Jammeh owns more land in my own community than the community of Burfoot even have right now. And then all of this happened when we have the whole Ministry of Local Governments and Lands, and we have the Gambia Tourism Board and the Ministry of Tourism, who are entrusted with this responsibility, to manage those lands within the tourism development area. So this means the community is denied of their resources, and yet the same land is being allocated to individuals in the same portion of land that is meant to be for community, for the development of tourism. So I don't know, with your experience and also working with the APRC government, I don't know, what is your take on that?
Thank you very much. This other one is interesting because if I heard you well, you made mention that Jammeh, former President Jammeh, have a vast piece of land within Brufut.
Yes, that's what he's claiming.
Hello?
Yes, that's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Okay, good. All right. Thank you very much. Here let's make a diagnostic of what is actually happening right now, because I may not be in a position to know actually how he acquired that piece of land, because I've not been informed. I may give an information that may not be accurate. I'm not shying away from responsibility, but I have seen time and again where communities, when he goes on tour, would say to him, I've been a witness, not actually from hearsay, would say to him, we have land that we want to offer you based on your agricultural activities. And for Bullfoot, whether it's on agriculture or not, I wouldn't know. But like you rightly mentioned, the ministry would have been in a position to know how those pieces of land were acquired. And the ministry should have been in a position to advise, making reference to what the State Land Act is saying. So where the ministry did not take responsibility of doing that, I would say they have shied away from responsibility, because that is why that ministry is created. Because all land process within the tourism development area, if you want to document it, the end result is you go to the ministry. That is where the final documentation takes place. So it's unfortunate. I am not in a position to tell you exactly how he acquired those pieces of land, and I don't know whether you are also in a position to know how the former president acquired those pieces of land.
Okay. All right, Famara, does that answer your questions?
Yeah, actually, yes, on the Jammeh's part, yeah. But I'm looking at where you have tough housing tough housing complex, which is issued by the government. That's not given by only one individual like Jammeh, but the way Tafanjai acquired the area, it's not by one individual, it's by the whole institution or the government of the Gambia. And then we're also seeing the Brufut Heights, for example, which is also claimed to be within the tourism development area. It's also been sold to individuals, and that's not by only one person, it's by the government of the Gambia. So I can understand from the side of how the Jammeh acquired individually from the other areas. Of course, we know some of them, how he acquired them in Brufut, but there are other areas that is given by in the name of the government, or the government gave them out to individuals, which obviously, we think it is totally unfair for a government to give out such a huge land to one individual for the purpose of housing development, and yet the community of Brufut are wallowing in poverty. We don't have the basic amenities that we need in our community. So I think the government of the Gambia has actually betrayed our trust on that agreement that we had with them on this tourism development area, and this is why we're trying to try very much.
I want to say, if that was the agreement, I quite concur with you that it's a betrayal of trust, and it's very unfortunate, like you rightly mentioned, looking at the amount of land that have been taken from the people of Brufut, and to benefit certain individuals. What are they actually bringing back? But I think, for me, I want to believe in terms of institutions or investors, it's still not late, because they can come up with what we all know, which is CSR, corporate social responsibility. They should be seen bringing back to the community of Brufut something that the community of Brufut can also rely on, to say, despite losing this vast piece of land to individuals and institutions, but we are still benefiting from it. And then those corporate social responsibilities can be in terms of finance, and it can also be in terms of kind. It should not only be limited to one aspect. So I believe it's still not late. Something can be worked on.
Okay. Famara, you happy with those answers?
Because I equally want to say, is it Famara? Did I say Famara? I don't know which name. Famara or
yes.
Famara, yes.
I must have given it. Yeah, I want to say, like the Brufut Heights, the tough what? I can't recall the name. But let me just say, those institutions, like the issue of the market is a challenge in Brufut right now, like you rightly mentioned, because the land is not there. So honestly, with sincerity and honesty, the Brufut market, despite the size, can be transformed in a manner that it can accommodate all the Brufutunkers, because you can come up with a market that will have, stalls. It doesn't necessarily mean it has to be a flat surface, just like what the government is trying to put up in Basse now. The market is a story building. It's going to be a bungalow. For Brufut, you can have, up to 2 other stories on top of the land that is available. So if you do that, the people of Brufut who are into business will see themselves as still benefiting from the piece of land that have been taken from them, because I think it's going to be a challenge to claim from the staff and the others. That challenge may be there, but again, we can devise another mechanism to ensure that the people of Brufut will not completely be losers. That's my view anyway.
Okay.
So my other question actually goes to your recent
sorry,
statement.
Mr. Nyassi. Yeah. Okay, you go ahead.
Yeah, your recent statement about especially how the people of Brufut or various communities can benefit from their land. Is there interest, or is there a program within the government system where communities can benefit directly from taxes paid by the occupants of land within their area?
I did not hear the last part of your. I could not hear the last part of your question. You say,
my question is there a way for communities to benefit? For example, let's say Brufut or Brikama are benefiting from land occupants instead of the benefit going into the area council. But if Brufut wants to build a market, they actually become beneficiaries of the taxes paid, so that they can utilize those to implement those development within their communities.
Yeah, you know, looking at it again, you also have to remember that markets are under the purview of area councils. So here, what I'm trying to put across is we can come up with a mechanism in which the people of Brufut can be compensated, and they will feel that they have been compensated. But again, going by the operations of the councils, you would expect the Brikama area council to be servicing that market. So if the tax collected from the Brufut market, for instance, if the Brufut market is built to a standard where everybody in Brufut is happy to say, come on, we no longer have any regret for our land being given to TAF or whosoever. But again, for the sustenance and the maintenance of that market, the Brikama area council have a pivotal role to play in terms of service delivery. So if you expect the Brikama area council to be providing service to that market in the event we realize our dream, and the tax is not paid to Brikama area council, it will be difficult for the people of Brufut to claim to the area council to say, look, you are supposed to provide these services and you are not doing it. So I want to believe for that particular case, we will still have to look at what the law says and look at the situation of the people of Brufut, because laws are made to govern us and to ensure that we all live in peace and harmony. And those that are expected to be carrying out services are seen to be carrying out the services as expected of them. So I want to say that will be a big challenge on the side of council if, for instance, what you are trying to put across is what is going to happen at the end of the day. So I believe whatever it is, or however little it is, the people of Brufut should be seen paying their tax to the Brikama area council.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Nyassi. Would you like me to jump in now? Or?
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much, Honorable. I think just like Famara, I'm also from Brufut, so I basically don't want to monopolize this talking about only the issues of Brufut. So, but I'm going to have some generic comments anyway. Before we do that, we try to make this program interactive. So we got a few people who actually made some comments. So we probably share those. Lambase is just basically saying, hello, dear borders, great borders. Then we got Sekou Manneh. I think Sekou Manneh is saying, is the land select committee, are there, okay, I think he wanted to know, are there any members, are there any Kombonkers in the land select committee? So we got another question from another person called, sorry guys, Madeline, Madeline, who wanted to know if there's anybody from Doi in this panel. No, there's nobody formally, officially from here from Doi. Basically what we're doing, we're interviewing, we invited members from political parties. A few weeks back, we had a member from a spokesperson for what's it called, UDP. Today, obviously, we have Honorable Nyassi here. So we'll be reaching out to the others. And then we got Mr. Ibrahim Sawane also saying, hi, Gunju Online, great job, guys. Sekou Manneh also basically saying to Famara, what's it called? Famara, you are on point. And then we got Ibrahim Sawane again coming. Famara, it's unjust. How can, Famara, how can you mortgage national tourist development areas to individual for domestic purposes? It stinks corruption all over. Then again, we got Sekou Manneh again saying the problem. Sorry guys. The problem is you can't appoint the minister responsible local government and land who is from province to govern lands in Kombo. Okay, so like I said, it's an interactive nature of this program. So we like to also involve the people who are watching us. But I just want to take us back to this State Land Act. I think State Land Act is unjust. We don't even think it should be on our laws because it's discriminatory. It actually goes against the UN Human Rights Convention, because basically what it does is like to disinherit a region of the country from their inheritance. why the rest of the country are allowed to keep theirs. Because fundamentally, if you think about it, our lands, these are our inheritance. Like I said, I don't want to make it all about Brufut. Famara has spoken at length about Brufut, so I'm not going to make it, I'm not going to speak too much about it. But I think the people of Brufut have suffered a lot when it comes to being dispossessed, when it comes to being disinherited. And then when it comes to people like Mustafa Njai, obviously, we will go to court with Mustafa Njai, even if it's going to be individuals, because it's no way we're going to accept being disinherited of our land. Because the problem is just not us. It's going to be the future generations coming after us when those people are not going to have anywhere to live. And then this is a land that belonged to them for 200 years. So it's within nobody's power in the Gambia to rob them and give it to an individual. But moving on anyway, I'm actually quite glad that people in Foni, you've woken up to the risk of land prospectors, and you put in mechanisms in place which are very effective and efficient, whereby you are teaching your people that they are able to sell their land. They are able to sell their land, but they have means of selling their land. But importantly, they don't have to sell their land on free lease. Yeah, on freehold. It's very, very important. From what you were saying, that's what I can digest from it. Your people in Foni, unlike our people in Kombo, who most of them didn't know that they had a choice. You can sell your land, but lease your land for a specified time. Don't lease your land on freehold forever. So I think that's a very, very positive development. This is something that it should be a government responsibility, really, to go out and tell our people, even foreigners who are coming to buy land, you need your land. These people need your land, and they're going to bring some wealth. But make sure you don't sell your land so that you lose it forever. So I think this is an important thing Jammeh's government should have done, but it wasn't done. But it's never, it's like they said, better late than never. So again, Famara mentioned what's it called, the TDA. Initially, if you go back to history, this TDA was only for 51 years from 1970. So lot of shenanigans. You would actually be very surprised, probably you're not surprised as a minister, that the original TDA list is actually disappeared. Nobody's known where it is. It was shocked to me how somebody who is actually basically engaged in litigation against Mustafa Njai about my inheritance. But that's for another show. Just to go through the documentation to come to the realization that even the TDA list that the government actually giving our lands out, that TDA list exactly, the document is disappeared. Nobody knows where it is. So it gives a lot to decide. I mean, it can make people think and become cynical and say, what is going on here? But it's just trying to sum up what is happening anyway. And then well, I'm going to go back again on what you guys have said. I'm just kind of summing them up, because being a moderator is no moderator as such, but I just took it up for myself. We can have a round table. So some of the things you guys can speak about, I can just sum them up so that we can move on. But Famara mentioned the plight of Brufut, where we don't have any places to build mosque. Really, we don't. We don't have places to build social amenities. We really don't. The place we have, the market, is not suitable. It's not enough, because there was no planning. There were no planning. When those markets was built, I think it was built in 1954, Brufut was quite tiny. Now Brufut is a metropole. It's a metropolitan area. So we'll have to move. Like your suggestion of having to build a multi-story market, the place is just not suitable. It's not suitable. So that all goes back to, unfortunately, your government. Your planning wasn't well executed, or maybe there was no planning at all. But then again, you can say that goes back all the way from the First Republic. But again, we're not here to finger point. We are here to find solutions. And we think the best solution really to repeal this State Lands Act, because, like I said, it's illegal, it's actually unjust, it's actually against human rights. It contravenes our human rights as Gambians, that a section of us can lose our inheritance, but the rest of the people are able to keep theirs. So if you can tell me in Kombo, your land don't belong to you, it belongs to the state. But you can tell somebody in Foni or what's it called, or Basse or Bansang, those areas, that their land belongs to them. I think that's a problem. That is a very, very severe problem. It sets two people against each other, regions against each other. So I think it's responsibility for all of you. That's why I want to reach out to you privately. I mentioned this to you. I said, we need to find a way and mechanism to repeal this law, because it's unjust. So we need to take it off our law books in the Gambia. Thank you so much. You don't even have to answer me, because mine is just social commentary, what the rest of the people have said. I just kind of summarize them up, and then maybe somebody else will want to chip in. But you're very, very you're free. And if you want to add anything to what I've said, please, the floor is all yours.
Thank you very much, Mr. Moderator. I'm really happy to be part of this panel. And like you rightly mentioned, I was just giving an example, but not actually meaning to say where the market of Brufut is where you reconstruct a market. I was just giving an example. Let me just make that clarification. And thank you for letting me know that the space is not there. And I equally want to say, listening to the comments that are coming from the listeners, I am really happy to know that people are listening and people are coming up with their constructive criticisms, because this is what helps the discussion and this is what will give us an idea of what the reaction of the people are. But if there was no feedback coming from people, I and you may think that what we are saying is what is that actually going to be of benefit to the listeners, when in actual fact that's not it. Like rightly mentioned, you and I had a one-on-one discussion in which you suggested a repeal of the States Land Act. And actually, I need not go back to say what my reaction was. But again, like development is dynamic. What is applicable yesterday may not be applicable today. What is applicable today may not be applicable tomorrow. But what is important is when something happens, let's interrogate ourselves and see what positive gains we have made out of it and what setbacks it has also caused us. That way, we'll be able to come up with a solution that will give us an idea of how we address the challenges that we had, or the mistakes or the problems that we were confronted with. And I believe, or I am convinced that this discussion, this frank discussion, is all about that. What went well, what did not go well, how do we need to correct what did not go well, and how can we consolidate on the gains of what we have achieved. So like I said earlier on, I respect the comments that we are coming from people, and I think they are doing so to help me in my future endeavors, because I am at the parliament and I have about a year, some months to go. So if people are criticizing constructively, it will help me in my further engagements with the ministry, the commission, and my colleagues as well in carrying out our function. So I thank everybody who took the time to say something as far as this panel discussion is concerned.
Thank you, Honorable. I know Dr. Conteh will be interested in the boundary demarcation, but I got one more questions to go before I gotta go somewhere. Honorable, you are from Foni, and I think the former President Jammeh did very well in terms of environmental in the very beginning, because he brought a lot of wild animals from South Africa for his zoo in Kanilai. But we see suddenly when the change of government happened, most of those animals have disappeared. And we have protected areas like Abuko, where it's one of the hotspots for tourism in the Gambia, have no wild animals at all. We could have utilized those zebras in Kanilai. We could have get those wildebeests in Kanilai, bring over to to Abuko, restocked Abuko Nature Reserve, so that the tourists coming to Gambia are not crossing the border going to Senegal now, because most of our tourists now are crossing the border to Senegal to go to see Fatala Game Reserve to see wild animals. We all see what is happening in Bijilo Forest Park. They just came and built this conference center there, destroyed 7 hectares of the forest, and then without no even proper environmental impact assessment. And the conference is now finished. They did not even fence the area between the conference and the park. And then the park does not even have a very good toilet facility. And the area is destroyed, which is one of the ecotourism site we have in the Gambia. Tourists from Senegambia and Kairaba can, walk down to, Bijilo Forest Park, go and view the animals, do bird watching. So our environment is being destroyed in the name of development. When in environment, we say there is no sustainable development. And development is not sustainable when they don't look into the future, what is going to have the impact. So now you from Foni, and then I know Kanilai Zoo was one of the attraction sites we have in the Gambia, even though it belongs to the government, but it belongs to a private individual. But also we encourage that. We encourage private protected areas, private zoos, because they all contribute to the economy of our country. It contributes to tourism. So what happened, to Kanilai Zoo? If you can tell us something about it. Why did the animal disappear? What happened that the government could not, collaborate with the management of the Kanilai Zoo?
Well, whether the government could not collaborate with the management or whatever, I wouldn't know. But all I know is since the former president left the country, even his personal assets, as we speak, you can see them all over the country. To talk less of his park, which is where he have these wild animals that attracts tourists. I don't think the government had interest in safeguarding the park. That's the bottom line. I think the interest was lacking, and again, because even his head of cattle, you can see they were all sold in the, and the justification given was the care that the former president was able to give to his cattle. The entire government, with a Department of Livestock, fully staffed. What was put before us at the parliament when a parliamentary question was raised to that effect by the former attorney general was that the care that the former president was able to give to his livestock rather, the government don't have the time and they could not give that attention to his livestock. As a result, they think the best way is to sell all those cattle. So if a government that cannot take care of the former president's cattle, you think they will have interest in preserving the zoo? I don't think they will have interest in preserving the zoo. Coming back to the conference center, actually, I came on board the government when the conference center was almost at the completion stage of the schematic design that was sent from China by the firm that was contracted to build the conference center. But all I know is there was a ministerial committee in which was the Ministry of Environment, and the technicians who were the permanent secretaries were also having their own committee, and they were consulting among themselves. So the environmental impact assessment was actually carried out because I saw the documentation, and the fencing, as you rightly mentioned, was part of the project. So why the fencing was not completed is a question that maybe the current government, either the Ministry of Environment or the Ministry of Lands, somebody else could be in a better position to answer that question, because I am with the view that the original plan of the conference center, if I have the opportunity to look at it now that it is completed and inaugurated and make reference to the schematic design that was agreed upon, I would not be surprised to say they are having a lot of compromise in the construction of the conference center.
Thank you. Yes, thank you so much.
Because this was all factored that it is a place that attracts tourists. So that is why all that was embedded in the project document to ensure that tourists will have the opportunity to continue seeing the animals that they want to see, or the creature, nature, or what nature preserves in that land was all factored in the project document. But again, like I was saying, it's unfortunate. The project was not completed by our government. We started it, but we could not complete it. So whatever is happening there now, we will take responsibility because the idea was conceived by us. So if it is something that is serving the interests of Gambians, we will want to take the credit. So if it is the other way around, we will be in a position to take responsibility.
So Amul, I have one quick question because I have to run to another meeting in a few minutes. But
and I hope you people will also release me in the next 5 minutes.
Yes. The plan is to actually close at 9 o'clock. That's okay.
The question I have is, I'm working away a little bit from land issue to focus a lot on social services in the country today. Looking at if you're going to attract foreign investment in the country, we need to have basic social services available. Water is a problem in the urban areas. Electricity has become worse. What is Parliament doing? What is in place to address these issues in the country?
Thank you very much. I don't know. I believe sometimes it's just to hear from a parliamentarian himself what he will have to tell us. But I am convinced that you are following our proceedings during our sittings at Parliament. I can tell you on several occasions, people have, parliamentarians, that for that matter, have written questions to the Minister of Petroleum, asking them the plans that they have to restore electricity, and electricity will become consistent in the country, water as well. But each time there is a parliamentary question and the answer comes, the answer given would highlight some challenges, and again will go further to highlight the plans that the government have to address the issue of water and electricity. As we are speaking, none of us thought at this year, 2020, we will still be confronted with the issue of electricity and water based on the plans that NAWEC, together with the ministry, have. Look at it. We have what they call car power from Turkey in the waters. And then what is happening? I think even we are kind of spending money and not getting the services of the monies that we are spending as far as that agreement is concerned. We were with the view that upon the expiration of the contract, government will just terminate the contract for good. But what happened? Government went ahead and extended the contract. In fact, it's now worse than the first year that car power was here. So electricity and water, like you rightly mentioned, is just it's a nightmare. I am staying in Banjulunding. I know the challenges I'm confronted with when it comes to water. But I don't have to talk about my personal challenges. But average Gambians in the urban area are confronted with challenges of water. And water, apart from air in human life, there is nothing far more important than water. So where water is a challenge, people wake up at 3 a.m. and spend the rest of the night trying to get water for the day's use. I mean, it's unimaginable. But we are definitely engaging the government. We are doing our utmost best to ensure that they restore water and electricity. But I don't know, when is it going to happen?
Okay, if I can come in, Dave.
Yes, go ahead.
The Honorable Nyassi talked about NAWEC. I want you to know that NAWEC's total debt is $11 billion. NAWEC's total assets total $7 billion. NAWEC has a deficit return earnings, which means that NAWEC doesn't have the ability to purchase heavy-duty fuel for electricity supply. For NAWEC to be functional, the government, in my view, should bail out NAWEC, close out the deficit return earnings, or pay part of the debt that it has. Otherwise, we will continue to have the same thing, because the reason why I say that is that if you're going to buy something, you're either going to pay it cash or you're going to have credit. But if NAWEC has deficit, if the total liabilities of NAWEC is more than the assets, NAWEC cannot buy fuel. In another area that I want to talk about, because this is going to affect Foni, is the Constituency Boundary Commission that they have set, and that we saw that in certain areas they are going to try to get us to be for Kombo North to have only one constituency, for Brikama to go back to one constituency, but yet still KMC to increase its representation, whereby Joshua will have 2, Serakunda Abbas will have 2, Talene will have 2, Bunduga Kunda will have 2, and Latakunda Savage will have 2. And I hope Parliament can reject that, because it will be total, it won't be fair to the West Coast region. And if they can do that to Kombo, meaning Kombo North, Kombo Central, they're going to come back to Foni and say that your constituency now can only be 2. I'm also happy for the fact, that you mentioned about the
Oops, we lost all of them.
We've lost it.
No,
Yeah,
I'm on.
we've lost it.
No, I can hear you.
Yeah, we've lost. It seems like we've lost Dr. Conteh.
Okay. So can I quickly react to?
Yeah, you can react to him. Yeah, we're gonna close in about 4 minutes anyway.
Just give me
he's back.
Honorable, just give me
he's back.
Honorable, just give me 1 second. Just give me 1 second too. I am so happy you talk about the estates, because these estates, the creation of estates in farming area, Gambia only has 10,700 square miles of arable land. So I want you all to see in Parliament to ensure that farmland is not being replaced by residential areas. And the Ministry of Lands should also work with the Ministry of Agriculture. All of us grew up on the farm. But now, as you can see, that these real estate people or the estate agents, they are going out there creating these estates, replacing arable land for residential areas. And I think that should be something that you also try to control, because this is a nightmare. Because if you drive from Banjulanding, going all the way even before you get to Kombo, is all the land that you see there, even though there is no farm activity, they all been sold. So as you rightfully said, that what's happening in Foni, the same thing. But please ensure that you all can have some kind of policy whereby if land is going to be sold, the Ministry of Agriculture should be part of it, because they are taking arable land for residential areas. And very soon, there will not be any farmland in the 4 years, because as you can see, the only thing that we have left is maybe limited areas in Kombo. So we need all you can to ensure that this creation of estates is minimized. The sale of arable land to residential areas, there has to be proper study on it. We just cannot be selling land and replacing agriculture. If we replace agriculture, that is about more than 25 to 30% of our GDP. You're telling us that so we just have to import food from other countries? So this is something that I would like for you to look at critically, because you grew up on a farm, and we just cannot afford to have people converting arable land to residential land.
Yes, thank you very much, Dr. Conteh. I grew up in a land and in a farm rather, and I'm still farming. I think Ali knows about that. Even this year, I have a big farm. I'm still farming. I want to say this, Dr. Conteh. I cannot imagine how on earth one can think of bringing West Coast as it was, and you want to create more constituencies in KMC based on what? What are the justifications? What explanation can you give to convince people that yes, Kombo North should go back to Kombo North, Kombo Central should go back to Kombo Central, Foni should go back to 1 and 2, that is East and West, and you create more constituencies in KMC. Anyway, I don't want to talk about that one. I'll wait until when the election bill comes to Parliament. And I am totally in agreement with you that as far as estate developers are concerned, in the regulations, provided the ministry is able to come up with a bill, they must have the input of the Ministry of Agriculture. It's very important. We cannot transform all our land to residential places, and at the end of the day, what are we going to depend on for our survival? Agriculture is, in fact, it goes beyond farming. Agriculture has a lot of components. So if we should transform all our land to residential areas, what are we going to rely on for agriculture? I am totally in agreement with you. And like I said earlier on, it's important that I am in this panel to discuss with people, to hear their opinions, to see how they think for the good of the country. I think it should have come earlier than today. But like the saying goes, better late than never. Yes. I totally concur with you, Dr. Conteh.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Nyassi. I really appreciate you coming here. Your brother Nyassi, probably if you would like to have some closing statements, please, so that we can wrap it up. Because I think Mr. Nyassi, we've had you here for about over an hour and a half now, so we should probably let you to go now. It's 9 o'clock in the Gambia.
It's all about nation building. I have no regret.
Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Mr. Manjang, I trained him well.
Oh, thank you. This is
Oh, you
Mr.
did?
Manneh. Yeah, go ahead, Mr. Aliu, Mr. Nyassi Aliu.
I trained him very, very well. So he's doing a very good job. I'm really proud to call him my brother. Not a far distance brother. Our fathers are from the same parents. So he's been doing a great job. And I feel proud the fact that his attitude has been emulating what our fathers have always been. They have always been in the forefront of development. And so I think my encouragement to him is to continue to listen and encourage other members of parliament to continue to listen to the people that put them into those offices. And that this is our country, and we have to jealously guard the interests of the nation versus self-interest. And regardless of political affiliation, the Gambia is our Gambia. So I came on this forum a couple of times to talk about coronavirus, health, and other issues that affect the country. And I think we should continue to have these conversations. We should continue to have this dialogue, regardless of party affiliations, because what we do today is directly going to have an impact on our grandchildren, our great-grandchildren, just like our parents have done. So no matter what we do, let us do it for our children. Let us do it for our Gambia. And let us do it in the interest, because right now, in the past few years, our debt by itself has skyrocketed. And I think that Parliament, just like every developed nation have, Parliament should be able to control the government's expenditure. Because I think these reckless expenditures that are going on, and everything falls back to our young people who are going to pay this debt. Just like Dr. Conteh said, NAWEC cannot sustain itself. Who does it fall into? The taxpayers. And the taxpayers are not even benefiting from what NAWEC is supposed to give them. So it's important for us to do this, but not important for ourselves, for our nation. And let us try to be inclusive versus being a divisive country, because the past couple of weeks have been very, very divisive. And to sit back and say, you are all Black people, but because of language, we use language that is so divisive, I cannot believe that we're sitting in 2020 and begin to talk about tribe in the Gambia. So it's important for us to come together as a nation. And nation building cannot be done by one ethnic group, cannot be done by one political party, but all of us together. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Aliu Nyassi. I'll see your brother is very proud of you. That's for sure. Dr. Conteh, would you like to make any concluding remarks?
Well, for me, I can just say I'm so proud to be next to Foni, because as a matter of fact, when people talk about Kombo, they don't even think Kombo is part of Kombo. They think we are part of Foni. But today, I think I'm going to be moving.
Let's go back to Foni. I'm going.
Today, I'm going to be moving to that area, and I'm glad that you talked about tribe, Mr. Nyassi. This is something, because for me, I'm from Kombo, and I tell people, that Kombo Konyenenka mi alonga badanto ladulato. Namanjola yellow soro, I karonenka yellow soro warante penche kasinko. Ganama pa uliala for it. So I'm so happy that we can talk about it. Let's forget about what happened in the past. It happened. So how can we move forward? So here is a gentleman who came in here. These are the type of people we need in our government, and I think he's going to deliver. But I also would like for you to say hi to everyone in APRC and your members of parliament, and we want also have solidarity when it comes to the issue of Kombo. Honorable, also I would like for us to look at education, because the last 9th grade exam results, 75% of Gambian kids fail English. 50% of Gambian kids fail mathematics. So right now, 50% of Gambian kids either have to repeat the 9th grade or they drop out of school totally. So we can talk about our land issues, but if we don't educate our youth, we will have a society that will not be competitive. So I hope we can all come together as one to solve the nation's problems. So Mr. Manneh, Badanga.
Yeah, thank you so much once again, Honorable. I'm really very grateful to you. I mean, like I said, I reached out to you in private a few months back, and then you promised me then that you would bring this land issue up in the parliament, and you did. You called the permanent secretary, and then again, so I reached out to you. I said, would like you to come and join us on the forum. Again, you came. So we once again, on behalf of all of the Gambians, really, we just wanted to say thank you so much. If you can spread the word out, like I said, we're trying to engage the whole Gambia in a discussion, but obviously people like you in politics. So we had, I remember, what's it called, a representative from UDP a few weeks back. Today we got you. Then we'll be trying other parties, members of other parties and their spokespersons. Well, it doesn't mean that we just need one person from APRC. If you got any of your colleagues who would like to come in, please. I've actually sent an invitation to Rambo Usman, my uncle. So I would like him to come as well. Firebrand, we can have a conversation, but he's yet to respond to me. Well, on behalf of our viewers and everybody back home in the diaspora, everybody back home and us in the diaspora, once again, we would like to say thank you so much, your brother. And we think, like your brother Nyassi said, and also Dr. Conteh said, together we can do this. Yes, it's a lot of things that's happened in the past in the Gambia, but some things they've not been done. But it's better late than never. I think if we can have a corrective course, we'll get far. Once again, thank you so much. Thank you very much for the viewers. We say bye-bye. Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Take care.
All right.
Bye.
Listening to Empire Radio 1.
Everyone has a purpose, and it is this purpose you pursue that defines you. The reason why we, Dalaba Ecology, located on the Gunjur-Brikama Highway, is here is to create peaceful environment and conducive atmosphere for our esteemed guests, both nationals and those who choose the Gambia as their final destination. Accommodations are modern standards, well-spaced and well-ventilated seminar and conference rooms. There is no other excellent venue for your birthdays and wedding programs than Dalaba Eco Lodge. So come and experience our affordable luxuries in sustainable environment. Our rooms are inside our gardens filled with sweet-smelling flowers and cozy feelings of nature. Visits to the Gunjut Sandy Beach with our wonderful transport services at no cost is all the time available. To enchant your stay furthermore, at Dalaba Eco Lodge, we create the following: bird watching, bike rentals for visiting local markets, and many other places of interest, city tours and boat trips, etc. For more details, you can take the digits 00220-360-7043. Email dalabaecolodge78@gmail.com. Facebook Dalaba Eco Lodge Gambia. Book your places now to experience memorable adventures one cannot afford to miss.